It's always a privilege to be here. Thank you for having me. We're going to continue building skills. If you have seen some of my other presentations, you are going to be working too. I am going to be a vehicle to review new knowledge and maybe bring you more tools in your toolbox. But I hope that today you look across the table and you start building a network. You get a phone number. You meet a new person today because maybe you will need each other in the future. So these caregiver summits are great as a way to connect and to build some of those networks that we hear early on. I wanted to say thank you for being here. You took the first step today to take care of yourself. You could have been doing another thing today. Changing diapers, feeding your loved one, going for an errand, going shopping. But you make a decision today to be here, to build something in your heart, in your soul, in your mind. And I wanted that you just said to the next person next to you, thank you for taking care of yourself today. So go ahead. Very good. Okay. So I wanted to acknowledge Lida Arevalo, who is a great colleague and Colombian friend, and we both shared a lot of our work and built into our slides. So I wanted to acknowledge she shared with me some of her platform or things that we're going to review. I'm going to bring a different angle today and build upon other things that you hear. So you're going to hear from me in lame terms a lot of the things that happen with our bodies when we are under stress and things that we can build to try to mitigate some of them. Some of them are not going to go away. I will be lying to you if I will say that you're not going to be stressed. But what I wanted that you leave today is that now you're going to be gentle to yourself. And if you feel that the stress is building up, that you take a second and you said, what can I do? What decisions I need to make? And I want that we think in terms of small decisions, okay? When we start like, oh, I'm going to take the vacation to Hawaii that I have been planning for 40 years, that one is not going to work. But maybe I need to go outside, and I love birds, and I wanted to breathe the air. That's a simple decision. Or maybe if you're getting angry and you are really mad, maybe you just need to go and get that ice cream that you have been wanted the entire week and you wanted to lose weight, but hey, just don't put the full cup, just put half a cup. Love on yourself. So we're talking about little decisions, building tools. We're going to talk about the medical aspects of what happened when we're really stressed out, how we can cope in positive ways. And maybe today you're going to say, well, maybe I'm coping in the wrong way. And maybe again, can you make a decision that can help you to go in the right direction? We're going to continue building about exercise, spirituality, socialization. My goodness, all of those interventions where you don't need to see a doctor, you just need to love on people and let others love you. Where we caregivers are tough on ourselves. You know, we are tough, we're the superhero and in charge. So it is possible that in that arrogance, we maybe need to say, I need a hug today. So if today you can hug somebody, or somebody gets close to you, just shake it off and don't be uncomfortable. Be stiff a little bit, but let somebody hug you. Touch is very important. Not only you to give to the person that you care for, but receiving it. In a busy culture, right, where people are connected to phones, iPhones, TVs, flip phones, la novela, etc., etc., the human contact with our eyes for a few seconds and connecting to others is vital. So the first thing that we're going to do, because this is your time, you are the experts on what you do. I'm just a vehicle to help you to build things, is we're going to spend 5 minutes on our tables. And again, I'm just going to say, if you are a talker like me, just be aware that you can talk, but be aware I would like all of you in the table to at least say one thing. Again, don't get mad at me, but every table has somebody that always like to talk a lot. Let us be mindful. I want all of you, to the extent that we can in 5 minutes, to just share at least one thing that make you stressed or anxious as caregivers, and what effects on your well-being this stress is producing. Maybe you are losing your hair, or maybe you are becoming very angry, or you are now having high blood pressure and you didn't have it before. So again, for the next 5 minutes in your tables, answer 1 and 2, and each one of you hopefully can participate. So let's get busy. Now, I see you in 5 minutes. Okay, so time's up. I want that you continue building this dialogue when you are eating lunch. We're going to, again, I saw a lot of energy. I want somebody on the left side in one of the tables that is brave enough to just summarize a little bit of what you guys talk in your table, and Peaches will give you the microphone. So somebody on the left here. Somebody brave. Okay, you need the microphone because good job. Thank you so much. Your name and tell us what you guys talk about.
Did you want us to identify ourselves?
No, you just do a summary of your table.
Okay, the caregivers, they're mostly caregivers,
okay,
and their really concern has been taking care of the loved ones is time. They don't have the time. They wish they had more time, but they don't, to do their own personal issues and the caregivers, needs. And the other ones is having to give up their jobs in order to take care of them. Wow. So financially, that's it. The time and finances, and really not able to depend on family members as much as you would think. So not all of them are willing to step up.
And all of those very important issues, what effects are taking on their well-being? How they are feeling and responding to
They're feeling very depressed, very angry, emotionally drained, bitter with other family and friends, and especially they have to give up, their finances really decline when they have to give up their jobs. So they are, their emotions or a roller coaster. Okay. They're grateful for their family and the person that's being taken care of because they have given so much when they were young. However, it's very hard for them.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing, and I bet a lot of tables have similarities, right? It's a lot of real challenges, so thank you so much for sharing. One table here on the right, and
I'm a first-timer. I'm first-time here, so our table was talking about siblings, where we have more than 4, 5, 9 siblings. Some of us have in-laws that have to take care of our loved ones, but the actual siblings won't step up. I'm by myself, so I have support, just from friends, and so that's what we're talking about.
And what effects are your table discuss? How they are feeling with all of these complexities?
Overwhelmed, resentful, angry, depressed, anxiety, all of the above. Oh, high blood pressure.
Yes. You can come and
where do we go
here. So all of these issues are real and they're complex. So again, we're not going to resolve, and I don't have, I wish I could have a magic wand where I can transform the world, but you can make decisions one at a time, and sometimes it's a day by day, hour by hour, where you can tackle some of those issues. And because some of these are going to affect you so much medically and physically, there are times where you need to make decisions about how you're going to take care of yourself. Something that I coach and I work not only with my teams but with my caregivers is recognizing what can I control and what is beyond my control. So a lot of what we're going to learn in things that you can build is in things that you need to recognize, okay, this is under my control. You can control your response. You can control what things you do for yourself. It's going to be really hard to control 9 more siblings. So sometimes we spend a lot of energy in things that we cannot control that don't allow us to see clearly that, well, I cannot control my 9 siblings, but today I have 2 hours where maybe my husband is here helping me. What can I do with those 2 hours? That can I control. But if I'm going to spend those 2 hours thinking about my other 8 siblings, then I don't get what I need to do. Do you follow me here? That's a very important skill. Having grace and be present to yourself and said, okay, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling disappointed, I'm feeling, and those feelings are okay. Okay? We sometimes in our culture said, you shouldn't be angry. Oh, you shouldn't be feeling guilty. Well, that's how we are feeling. So the first thing is recognizing the emotion. But the second thing is, from these things that I'm so bothered by, which ones can I control and which ones cannot, are beyond my control. And then when you write them down and you remove the one that you cannot control, and I really invite you to the extent that you can write them. Some of you maybe have difficulty with visual impairments or things, but if you can at least mentally or on a piece of paper, write the one that you can control, that fact of writing, I have 2 hours per week where I can do this, or maybe I'm going to have the Sunday afternoon while my loved one takes the nap, maybe I can, then you start building capacity of how you use those hours, those 30 minutes at the time. Do you follow me here? Very important, the wisdom to ask God and to ask your family members and others to help you sometimes. My husband is really good when I get really, my Colombian goes out and I get really fussy around the world, and then he comes in 3 minutes, he says, none of the stuff that you're saying you have control of, but the only thing that I hear in your, conversation, in your Colombian story is this. And then suddenly like, oh, okay, I can control that, let me tackle that. I got out my emotions, it was important, and he doesn't judge me, right? So finding a good friend today on the table where you can pick up the phone and be mad about your 9 siblings, maybe it's a good thing, but don't use more than 15 minutes. Then you use the other 45 in what you can control. You see what I mean? Sometimes you just need to verbalize the anger, and that's important. Give grace, be nice to yourself. A lot of my caregivers, my team hears that we are too tough on ourselves. So just take a deep breath. So, yeah, I put that there, just say when that can be dangerous. So we definitely need to think about caregiver changes in our bodies when we're stressed out. But there are a lot also good stress that allow us to do things, right? So we're going to kind of, this is the fanciest slide in medicine to say the way that our bodies are built, and I use God a lot on this because I believe there is a profound sense of creativity and creation in how we're built. And that definitely is not done by human hands. So, if you are not a believer, so I apologize, but I'm not going to apologize, I'm going to say God. So work with me here. We were created to respond to stress in an amazing way. And a lot of hormones are released in our body, and a little part of our kidneys called the adrenal glands. And that connects to the brain extremely quickly. And I wanted to use the analogy of the brain using my hand. My hand is the brain. And there is a little powerful part of the brain called the amygdala that is very shared among primitive beings. And that amygdala gets fired really quickly when we are in danger, we are under stress, and allow us to run, to fight, and respond very quickly under the stress. So that's a good thing, right? If you see fire and you need to run, if you have somebody chasing you, you see a bear, you don't want it to stay there and admire the bear, you want it to run. The brain quickly fires that. So the brain, the amygdala gets fired and it starts working really fast. And then when the stress goes away, the amygdala should go and sleep. Do you follow me here, the hand? So the amygdala gets fired, it starts working, then the stress goes down, the amygdala should fall asleep. When the stress is daily and the amygdala fires every day and we don't rest the amygdala, the changes become permanent and start damaging our health. Why I am teaching you that or sharing that with you? Because we need to develop mechanisms to try to retrain. So don't raise your hand, but I'm going to go the list. How many of you are having problems sleeping? Okay, well, you wanted to raise your hand and make you feel better. Raise it, raise it, raise it, raise it. That's okay. We're here in Norway. Okay, how many of you have pain? How many of you are having problems with constipation or diarrhea or both? Oh, see, the hands didn't raise their hand, but like this, right? I know. How many of you are having high blood pressure? Heart problems? So what I'm saying is, because you are in a constant stress and we're not coping appropriately, the body feels it. So we need to develop simple strategies day by day, hour by hour. Some days we're going to be more successful, other days we're not, to calm the amygdala. And this comes in research. If you do or read things about child abuse, traumatic experiences, and these, we have the stress boost program. Why? Because it's built upon knowing that when we draw blood in caregivers, many of you have all of those hormones there affecting you. And the problem is when you are younger, you maybe think you can handle it, but eventually the cumulative effect of the stress takes a toll. So a lot of, for example, in dementia care and developing prevention strategies to don't get cognitive problems are related with what we do in our 20s or 30s and even when we're children. So again, you need to know where you are in the spectrum of this stress. So if your checklist and you feel that your arm never went down when I asked those questions, maybe you are in the extreme where things are really critical. If you maybe only thought, well, only one apply, maybe you are in the right time to say, well, I'm not that bad, but you need to start being aware of those changes. I'm a geriatrician, so to the extent that we can use things that are no medications, I'm a big believer on that. In a culture where we see a lot of things of take the pill, take the pill. Believe me, medications are helpful, but a lot of what you guys are going to be doing in your daily basis is not going to be a pill. It's going to be choices. It's going how you are using your time, how you are dealing with specific problems and building capacity for those. So yeah, caregiving may be hazardous to your health, right? So again, this is just more sophisticated. So what we talk about, and you have been building with the other speakers, and you will get much more insight with our future speakers today, is how you manage the stresses and building coping skills. What I see, I have 420 seriously ill people at home right now. So many physicians see the caregiver the day that they bring their loved one, and that day, you guys put your hair up like today, you put your beautiful makeup. I love you. You look terrific today. I go to the home when you have the hair like this and you can button the thing backwards because you barely have time and you have different color of shoes because you were in a hurry, if you have shoes on. So I know that when we enter the home and the reality really kicks, we see a lot of the stresses winning, very little into the coping. So today, you're going to hopefully get more ideas so your balance is going to work better. And there are going to be days where the balance maybe goes here. What you don't want is that permanently is like here. You want it to build capacity so you can balance when the heavy days come. There is heavy lifting. You have, well, I have another tool, you know, so we're going to review a few of them today. So there is a lot of changes, and we need to, again, develop capacity. So we're going to go back to you, but I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Least each one of you can say one thing or 3 things that help you to cope. So all of you talk about all of those realities that you're dealing with. Now we're going to shift our brain to what you guys are doing that are helping you to cope with those challenges. So 3 minutes, go back to work.
We had someone say she hides. More so, I think, just to, what's the word, retreat. Just to get alone, have that moment to yourself, and then working out, going to the gym, socializing at the gym because there's other people there. So
I noticed, that's good.
So that's what we do.
Terrific. So great sense of humor. So he's teaching us, but what he's saying, just laughing, be goofy. Goofy is okay. Just laugh a little bit more often. Don't be so uptight. I'm uptight sometimes. I'm a type A, right? So I'm learning. I need to be aware to laugh and don't take the life too serious. Awesome. Exercise. We will talk about that in a second. One table here, so the gentleman here too.
Some of the things we talked about is, first of all, like you mentioned, if you're a believer of creation, and then praying and speaking to your Creator is one of the things that really we need spiritually. And second of all, we talked about music. Music is very, very important. There's a app called Calm Radio. If y'all want to get into that, it's I turn that on every morning before I see my face in the mirror and want to reject it. So, and then the third one was taking naps. Because sometimes we can't sleep, but it's important for us to, take naps and just get away by just resting.
Fabulous. So a lot to unpack with these two interventions. So let us get busy. Sleep. Sleep is important. Let me share with you a fascinating story from NPR yesterday. Have you ever asked why many animals and mammals and humans, why we need to sleep? Isn't it that a fascinating question? Why we don't go 24/7 alert? We need to sleep. Well, there is people that actually do research in that. And yesterday I heard something fascinating. There is this researcher who started studying patients with Alzheimer's who get fragmented sleep. We don't know why that happened, but if you care for somebody with dementia, it's like nowadays our night are backwards, they have sundowning, etc. There is a lot of issues with sleep. And she discovered, and I'm going to make this very simple, remember my brain analogy and the amygdala? Around the brain and the spinal cord, there is a membrane, and in that membrane there is a fluid called the spinal fluid, CSF fluid. Well, she discovers that every 20 seconds when we're sleeping really well, the fluid increases, the blood flow goes down, and it cleans the brain. There is a cleaning up of the toxins and the beta amyloid, which is something that we find in Alzheimer's, that for years we have been blaming as the cause. When you do autopsies, those brains are full of that beta amyloid. And there is a lot of suggestion that every time that we have good sleep, that fluid is cleaning up a lot of stuff. Why I'm saying that? Because the gentleman here says, take a nap. If you are at night and not able to sleep, you maybe need to catch up in the daytime. And it's like when many of you, if your loved one is taking a nap, maybe don't do the laundry. Tolerate that the laundry can be done maybe later on. Maybe it's a time to nap. Maybe your family member or one of the 8 siblings decided to come that day. Maybe that's when you said, I'm going to take a nap. Again, going back to what can I control? Decisions, little decisions. Then you rest. Sometimes you can actually relax and not sleep. But just by the fact that you are lowering down, be focusing your breath, just doing something else. I'm big into smell, so aromatherapy has research, and lavender helps with anxiety, helps to calm our brains. How many of you are using aromatherapy? Okay, so HEB has a great brand called Now, and you can buy lavender and you can learn the basics of aromatherapy to help you to soothe yourself, but to also help your loved one in the evenings. So again, there are a lot of Marshalls and TJ Maxx sells the, oh goodness, the diffusers, thank you, where you can put those drops, and while you listen to your beautiful music in the morning, maybe you're feeling really stressed out, use these simple things to try to help yourself to have a sense of calmness. So the research is there, and I found yesterday that I'm going to get me the article. I just heard it, so I couldn't read more, but fascinating the importance of sleep as a way to, decrease and clean products in our brains. When we do not sleep well, this results in memory thinking problems and irritability and anger. I hear a lot of things that are true, the relationships with when you feel lonely, when you have family members that are not helping. But in general, you start building up. When that amygdala doesn't fall asleep and you can calm it down, you're going to be more reactive, more angry. Little things can snap at you. So again, how can I be more aware and maybe take a deep breath before you react or you answer to your loved one or somebody else? Just be aware of, oh, I'm getting really angry. Maybe it's time to go to the patio and look into the tree. Or maybe it's time to go and play with your pet, right? Kind of decrease the energy toward the anger, irritability to something that give you, again, I'm talking about you like pets or you have pets. Many of you maybe don't, but pet therapy, again, going back to pets are wonderful instruments of healing and companionship. Prayer. Your caregiver here said prayer. Many of you pray, many of you use the Bible, maybe you use other traditions, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So food can be problematic, right? And so I really invite you to, again, I'm a palliative care doctor, so patients love me because I don't restrict diets in my field. I just restrict portions. That's it. Well, why, my patients say, well, I'm eating 5 corn tortillas, 5 flour tortillas, so we maybe negotiate to move to corn and maybe it's 3, right? So those extremes that we hear of, you are going to remove everything in your diet, you are going to need to eat this and that when the budgets are a little bit short. Find your cultural competence piece. You know what things you like in your culture? Many of you, again, the Texas Diabetic Institute have a whole cooking designed for diabetics for Mexican Americans. Because if you're Mexican American, raise your hand if you love asparagus. Okay, we had 4 crazy people here, but in general, it's not a cultural thing, right? So if you, as a doctor, I'm going to tell my Mexican American, you need to eat more broccoli and asparagus, and they're like, you need to find what you love, but cut the portions. And start being aware, another tip that I tell my patients, don't go to the idols that you have problems with because you don't need what you don't buy. So if you notice, HEB, everything that a human needs is in the outskirt of the store. Vegetables, fruits, meats, dairy products. When you start dividing with your little carrito, to the cookie idol and the candy idol, you are going to end up with all of those potato chips and all of that stuff that, I will say choose one item that you enjoy. And you do it on a day a week and do it with your loved one. If they want potato chips, just don't eat the whole bag, but eat a little bit and enjoy the potato chip with a soda once a week. That's another thing I see with the caregiver. The doctor says, well, we said a lot of things. It's a different story when we actually put it in the context of the patient and the family and the quality of life. And especially I'm taking care of people that are in their last 2-3 years of life. Sometimes we said in palliative care it's much easier and more important to eat a bacon with a good biscuit than the 15 pills for heart failure. So negotiate with your doctors. Don't be afraid. Especially when you are 90, are you kidding me? Am I going to take away the bacon? I'm not. But be mindful also to yourself, right? What are your choices eating? There are ways to cook healthier. So just stay away from certain things, but also indulge. You say, you like that little ice cream, dulce de leche. By the way, you haven't eaten it. It's the best ice cream. I don't eat a lot of ice cream, but I buy me one, and once a week I put strawberries and I eat it and all of that. And I don't feel guilty. Again, grace, give love to yourself. It's okay. The problem is when we're eating the dulce de leche every day and we are sad and we're angry and we default to food. So if you are in that category, don't raise your hand, don't problem. Now, if you wanted to raise your hand, maybe you have all of these caregivers that can give you tips on how to overcome that. One day at a time, one decision in HEB store. Because remember, you don't need what you don't buy. And it starts with that decision. Do I really need to go to the candy aisle? No, I don't. My kids don't need candy. They just grow up without being, we always now shop and they don't deviate. Well, I have my middle one once in a while, she deviates. It's okay, she can afford it, right? So I said just choose something that you like. It starts with, you have a lot of grandkids, teaching them to love themselves, to eat healthy, to empower them to do choices, one HEB shopping at the time. You can control that. So again, think about that, take notes. Follow your heart. Evidence shows that risk factors, again, if you are eating poorly and you get gordito, your blood pressure goes up, your insulin works less and your sugars go up, and then you develop a lot of other problems. I'm a geriatrician, but I work a lot of also in my field too. Again, your grandkids, your nephews and nieces, your youth, learning very early on. So we know Alzheimer's and other issues increases because the poor choices we make for the first years of our life. So it's an impact also as caregivers. Some of you, how many of you care for someone, but also children? Children, okay, some of you are in that. We call that the sandwich generation. You're raising kids or your grandparents or children, and then you're having somebody at home. So that's an issue of how you do both, and at the same time you care for the loved one you are teaching your kids. Very important, again, if we are coping instead of the healthy mechanisms with others and eating healthy and sleeping, and we are defaulting to alcohol, that's very dangerous. And I can give a whole lecture about the alcohol impact, but again, we know that when we're drinking more, and we're talking about more than 7 drinks per week in a woman, meaning 1 drink per day or more than that, that's dangerous, or more than 14 drinks in a male. So again, there are some patients that for the past 50 years take a little bit of whiskey. So again, how you negotiate that, what medications they do, is this a quality of life issue or this is an abuse? So again, a lot of that you can ask your physicians or providers to empower you and clarify, but stay away from that, right? Now we're dealing with vaping, right? So again, other set of issues that we now need to encounter. This is very important. TV is not an activity that we count. Oh boy, sensitive issue. We watch a lot of TV, and sometimes we use the TV as the default for socialization, as a default. Like everything, if you need the TV for short periods of time as a way to cope, like everything in a portfolio of things that you do, that's okay. But when you are constantly defaulting to the TV for companionship, to just go blank, and not a way to cope. That's the reason I said get the phone number, and some people today that you meet, call the SOS, enroll yourself where we are with other humans, in a personal companionship, a relationship. Going to the gym again, you met some people there, you know. I love gyms. I just love to see people, all sort of people, shapes, and how people do things. And I'm very scared of machines, so I'm always like trying to learn how they do those things up and down and moving here and counting if they're going to fall down or not. And since God, they don't fall down. But TV is not an activity, and I say that also for patients that have dementia. It can become dangerous. There is a point where they don't know what is the reality, and they can confabulate. So again, what can I do? Maybe choose from the 3 novelas one, and see now you have 2 more hours that you didn't know you had before, so you use it for a cup of coffee with a friend you met today, to maybe go to the neighbor and chat for a little bit, maybe a walk in the street if it's safe. But start thinking about, again, how much TV are we watching? And TV is something that's like, oh, I don't have any time. And then I start digging a little bit in the day, and I see a lot of TV in there, right? So maybe, again, helping them what you can control. Maybe it's going fasting in telenovelas, right? That will be a good one. I'm not going to watch telenovelas, but I'm going to take care of myself in a different way. Shopping. Yeah, oh boy, some people already confess here. Again, when we're talking about budgets, some of you open your heart to say today, gosh, I needed to quit my job because I need to take care of my loved one. And if, again, shopping is important, I think there is many of my caregivers enjoy just walking even their loved ones in the winter in the mall, just to see people and the lights. But when we're using resources that go through something compulsive, or you have a patient with dementia that likes the selling TV channel. I have a lady with dementia that ended up with 50 boxes of the same necklace, and she said, oh, they keep sending the same box. She just gave them the credit card, and again, I think one of our lawyers, Carol Bursch, maybe talk about that financial exploitation. So again, if you are caregivers too busy and you are not seeing what your loved one does, if they have cognitive impairment, you maybe get into trouble, right? Right now, there is a lot of predators on the phone getting social securities, changing housing. I mean, I have seen a lot of stuff there. So again, for you as a caregiver, what are you using your money? Again, enjoy yourself. If you work really hard and you save your money and you love that pair of shoes, because we girls love shoes, and that's a gift for you, that's okay. Get the pair of shoes. Don't feel guilty. We don't want to say collection of the shoes, and then there is no money for other things. So again, the balance, you know, enjoying for a beautiful hat like the lady here said, beautiful hat. Those things that make you feel pretty, that make you look good, that make you look handsome, right? Those little material things that sometimes are important are okay. Balancing that. This is a huge one. Again, when we use a lot of energy and things that we cannot control and we don't go back to our day, sometimes we start putting things off. Maybe it's the financial decisions that you need to take care of because you are not working anymore. Maybe it's the advanced care planning. What are we going to do when your loved one cannot make decisions? What are we going to do if that person gets so sick? Do we want them dying in the hospital? So we procrastinate those decisions. We procrastinate to tell our siblings that we are overwhelmed, that we're tired, that we're almost ready to give up. And we procrastinate the difficult conversations. And then what happened? You're like a pressure cooker. You're cooking, and then your sibling really finally took vacation, came from Montana to help you, and you are like, and then you destroy your relationship with your sibling, you get in a bad mood, your amygdala fires, and now you cannot get it calm. Versus, again, what are the things that are important and urgent? What are the things that are important and non-urgent? And what is the wisdom? So if it's important and urgent, do it. It's important but not urgent, maybe you can say that can wait next week. And if it's not important, non-urgent, why you are even thinking about that? Isn't it that interesting? Sometimes it's not important and not urgent, but that consumes your time. So wisdom on that. Again, having good friends, family, a network that can help you to clarify where you are. Okay, my 10-minute warning here. So again, spirituality, your traditions, very important. Things in extreme can be bad, and sometimes we see it where maybe there is guilt. And if you're not surrounded by a healthy group of people in your church, sometimes what we feel is more guilt inflicted in the caregiver. So just be aware. You have a sense of what is healthy in terms of your relationship with God, your faith, your community. Anything in extreme can be dangerous when you are very irritable or tired. At the same time, spirituality and religiosity and praying is a huge way to connect and relieve for many of you. So beautiful traditions, scripture and others that can give you a sense of hope and completion and well-being. So again, we talk about engaging. That reason TV, I don't like TV as the default for everything. Read a book, word puzzles, coloring, engaging into discussions with your friends. Anything that stimulates your brain is very important to keep active in your brain. If some of you are getting very depressed, very sad, then you are not putting makeup, or you are not dressing, or you don't want to go and have your coffee with your friends, and if you are start crying, you don't care about what happened, if you're not sleeping, you need to get seen by a provider, a physician or a advanced practitioner, because when we become depressed, again, it's the same thing, constantly, then we don't function, and when we don't function, we cannot be caregivers. So when that is impairing the way that you work, you maybe need some medication and maybe counseling and other things. So do not neglect those red flags that are important. So again, there is a lot of ways to do what I do with, a full day, what I will do with a half a day. So be active in the sense of, again, if you're going to know that somebody, you know how you go to church and your friends are like, oh, I know your mom is sick, how I can help you? Oh, everything is fine, thank you. What did we hear today? Is that the right answer? No. Okay, no, you could say, well, it's a little bit overwhelming, and yes, you can help me. I will love that you can help me to cook a meal tomorrow. That people love that. It gives them a sense that they're giving something direct. When people are asking you what they can do for you, start writing in a piece of paper what you need. Maybe it's a grocery shopping, so you don't need to do that grocery shopping, so you actually take it out. So start again, we hear it early on, we're going to hear it multiple times. Start developing 3 or 4 things that you're willing people to say, by the way, yes, thank you for asking. I will need some groceries, will you be able to do it over the weekend for me? I need a meal, I'm struggling. So people will say, oh, we can actually do it 2-3 times a week for you, or let me put a food chain for you, or what. If we are all the time putting the face of, oh, I'm doing great, I have it all under control, we're not going to get the help that we need. And all of these things come back. Maybe getting a hot bath. I have caregivers that their time is to put the music, go to the bathroom, lock it, and take a 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just hot shower. And they just listen to the music, and they are just there enjoying that. Put, again, aromatherapy, something good that smells. So again, using those little things. If you can get a massage, again, not everybody likes people putting hands on them, so, but I'm saying it's very good to do it. Gardening, not obsessive house cleaning. Don't raise your hand. I have some that I go to the house call, and I'm trying to visit with the patient, and I'm looking for the caregiver, and the caregiver is all over, cleaning, vacuuming, moving, and that sometimes I'm like, this is a great time for you to just sit for the next 45 minutes with me, and they feel guilty. So you're in that category. Again, the relationship is always more important than the duty. Okay? Some of you also are so busy doing other things. Enjoy your loved one, whoever you're caregiving. It's time to, let us go and sit outside and get the sun. Sit with them. Eat the little chocolate or whatever you wanted and enjoy them. Put the hand and hold their hands. Sometimes we're really busy. Again, the busyness, busy. Sometimes we just need to just be there, be present. We talk about eating, social, spiritual, the balance. Today, you're going to have a lot of resources, great organizations, and don't leave with your homework will be to leave at least with 1 or 2 concrete things that you're going to take action that you haven't done before, so you will put it in place. That's your homework. 2 resources outside that you didn't know before. If you said 2 is too much because your life is so full, choose 1. 1 thing that you're going to do for yourself with all of these wonderful vendors and organizations that can help. Just choose 1. I would love 2, but choose 1. At least leave with 1 and say, I am going to do it. So I'm going to close with 4 minutes of a breathing exercise I'm going to teach you. So put your pens down, sit comfortably in your chairs, and cross your legs, ground your feet, put your hands over your lap. If you are cold, maybe put your sweater or something. And I'm going to just do, again, I usually do a 5, but I'm going to do 3-minute guided meditation. It's a very simple exercise. All of you can do anytime at home. So close your eyes. Close your eyes and start breathing normally. You are feeling your feet grounded on the floor. You are noticing your knees. You are noticing where your hands are placed. And now you are focusing in your breath. How the air is coming through your nostrils and how it's going out. Just focusing in the breath, how the breath comes in and now comes out. You maybe are noticing how your chest expands, how your belly expands when you take that breath. You continue focusing in your breath, and you're going to breathe joy, and you're going to exhale stress. So breathe through your nostrils, joy, deep, and exhale loud, that's stress. You're going to breathe hope, and you're going to exhale stress. You're going to breathe love. You're going to exhale stress. Now you keep breathing normally, and you're sensing how your neck is positioned and how that air is going through your neck. And now you're feeling that air coming and it's in your chest. And you keep breathing, and now you're going to relax those shoulders. Those shoulders that are tight. Just be aware of them, loosen them up. You're going to continue breathing normally, and you have a sense of your legs. And very gently, you are opening your eyes and moving your feet, moving your hands. So I did a that's called mini body scan. So there is a lot of other options that you can get, apps, you can get resources that are just guided meditation to help you to breathe. If you notice that you were kind of falling asleep, you're tired. You need a nap this afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you. God bless you, and I will be available if you have any questions.